Now, we know that the dust is most certainly yet to settle when it comes to Nigeria's 2023 elections. From the controversies following the presidential and National Assembly elections to more controversies in the wake of the governorship and state houses of assembly elections. But in all, the Independent National Electoral Commission has declared winners for the presidential election, as well as 26 out of 28 governorship elections, 104 senatorial, 329 federal, and 935 state constituency elections. But as we continue to see what happens in the aftermath, there are now protests happening at the country's capital, and that is, of course, Abuja, with pro and counter groups also making themselves heard. Now, in this report from our Abuja bureau chief, we get into what the protests really are about.
The protest commenced from the central area in Nigeria's capital. Walking along major highways, the protesters marched to the UN House, located within the city center. They say the conduct of the recent elections is an assault on their rights as Nigerian youths.
Today, we mourn the demise of credibility, the rape of trust, the abuse of will. Today, we stand in the ruins of transparency, on the embalming table of inclusion, equity, and accountability. Today, we are voices toneless, stripped of the music of choice. Today, we are Nigerians broken and calling on INEC to count our votes.
While reading their letter to the representative of the United Nations Resident Coordinator to Nigeria, they say they want an interim government established to conduct fresh elections.
We therefore call on President Muhammadu Buhari, who is representing us as a member of the UN, whose commitment to free and fair election is engraved in the legacy of the Electoral Act of 2022, to initiate processes and procedures that will begin to bring Nigerians under the control of an interim government, pending the resolution of all litigation pertaining to the conduct of the February 25th presidential election.
Why we are calling on an interim government is because we would need fresh hands, elder statesmen who would sit down and oversee the transition and look through all of the illegalities that we complain about and make sure that there is something that will reflect the will of the masses.
They say they are confident their letter can get the UN to act in the interest of public good.
What we expect from them is to step in with their power, with the laws they have, with what binds the whole world together, to step in, speak where they need to speak, assert their position where they need to assert it, and make sure they guide Nigeria, they oversee Nigeria, they supervise these things, and make sure that Nigeria still remains as a member of the world community.
Amadin Uyi, reporting for News Central.
And we have Amadin Uyi on standby right now from Abuja. He's been covering these protests, which have actually been going on for a few days now, and will give us some more updates. Amadin, good to see you. Good evening and welcome to Politics HQ.
Good evening, Tolu. Thanks for having me.
So let's go through this. There seem to be so many groups at the moment who are protesting. Some apparently have gone to defense headquarters, even asking for an interim government to be put in place. Some are protesting to say that everyone should leave things alone. There's been a winner declared. Let's move on. Some saying that INEC chairman needs to resign and even prosecuted. At this point in time, how many groups are we really looking at that seem to have some kind of grouse with how the elections turned out, or with the people who have an issue with how the elections turned out?
Okay, so it's difficult to quantify how many groups at the moment, but we know they can be categorized into two broad categories. First of all, you have the group which is pro the election, which are the group which is saying that we support the conduct of the election, we support the emergence of Bola Tinubu as the presidential candidate, and thereby we insist that things must play as it should. Then you have another category where I'm also classifying them as a broad category, where they say we are dissatisfied, we think the elections have been rigged, we think there have been widespread irregularities, so therefore we want intervention. Now, this category, they comprise of several groups. the Free Nigeria Movement, the Safe Democracy Group. For now, you can't quantify because every day you see a new set of people or new group joining them to say, we are with you and we are solidly behind you. But in all, we know that we have those who are pro the elections and those who are against the outcome of the elections.
So in terms of these protests, what do they really hope to achieve? Because right now, some of them have seemingly turned into maybe a bit of a jamboree. But at the end of the day, some groups, one approached the defense headquarters. I'm not sure they really got a particular sort of welcome there. But it is everybody's right to protest, as we know. But really, in terms of intentions and what they hope to achieve, what do you think the groups are really still doing out there?
Okay, so let me start with the group which is against the outcome of the election, which comprises of the Free Nigeria Movement, the Safe Democracy Group, and several youth groups that are pro some of the candidates that lost out in the recent general elections. Now, they've gone to different organizations. They've been to the defense headquarters. They've been to the ECOWAS Commission headquarters. They've been to Nigeria's parliament. They've walked on the streets. Today they were at the UN house. They are insisting that they want the officials of Nigeria's electoral body sanctioned. They are insisting that they want conduct of fresh polls. They are calling for, chief among their demands is that they want an interim government. I don't really know if they understand what an interim government is, but just like you said, as Nigerians, they are free to voice their demands. So these are their major demands, that they want fresh elections conducted because they know that according to Nigeria's constitution, by May 29, President Buhari ceases to be the president of the country. So they think in their own idea that if an interim government is constituted, they can conduct fresh polls. So this is their major demand. Then you have those who are for the election, which comprise of several groups, several youth groups belonging to the All Progressives Congress, the party that won the election, several groups belonging to the Presidential Campaign Council, the team set up by Bola Tinubu, his own campaign council that headed his elections and managed his entire election process. They are saying that if you are dissatisfied with the polls, you go to court, trust the judiciary, but let the transition process continue. They are saying that claims that the elections were rigged, claims that it was marred with widespread irregularities and are not true. That is their position. They are saying that those calling for an interim government don't know what they are saying and that they should shelve any thought of calling for an interim government because calling for an interim government is like a backdoor calling for the return of military rule. Remember what happened in 1985 when General Ibrahim Babangida handed over to an interim government, the NS Shonikon-led government. In fact, it was very easy for General Sani Abacha to sack the interim government and take over the reins of government because the interim government does not have control of the military and the security agencies. And so it will be easy for anybody in the military, any ambitious person in the military, to take back the reins of government and take us back almost 24 years. So this is their position. But all in all, the two groups are making demands and have continued to insist. In fact, the pro-Bola Tinubu group or the pro-election outcome group say they will continue meeting at the Unity Fountain till inauguration, while the anti-group, anti-election outcome group say they will continue protesting and making their presentation to the different international agencies, to whoever they think has the capacity to stop the current transition.
Okay, so Amadi, you've answered my question as to how long these groups plan to be out there protesting, because we know some of them have been out there since about last week. But beyond that, what are the numbers we're looking at? As you said, there's some disparate groups involved, but in terms of like individual numbers with whether it's the pro or for camps, what are we looking at? And are we seeing also safety concerns? Are the police at least around visible so that security is not a problem and we don't have a situation where, as we know in Nigeria, peaceful protests sometimes get hijacked by those who want to make it look like it's anything but peaceful?
Now, Tolu, in terms of security of this group, I think the Nigeria police has commendably been able to live up to its responsibility by not discriminating. You know, in the past, you see the police take sides, either support the group that is aligning their position with government. But I was at the anti-protest group today. I witnessed officials of the police, the Department of State Services, though they had their own private security, but you could see that the police was with them, followed them to the UN house, tried to maintain traffic to ensure that they are not a nuisance to other road users. That was very commendable today. Also, yesterday, I also witnessed the presence of police personnel at the Unity Fountain during the pro-election outcome group, their meeting. The police were there and were helping them ensure, just like you said, that hoodlums do not hijack this process. But I think an appraisal of the conduct of the police for the two groups has really, really been commendable. And if the police goes on like this, you get to find out that they are not a nuisance to public, because by the time you take on the streets, you are also infringing on the rights of the road users who might want to get to the airport, might want to take their loved ones to the hospital, might want to catch one or two appointments, and then when you block the road, you make it unpassable for them, then it becomes a problem. So I think the police have considerably been fair to both groups. But when we talk about their numbers, what we witnessed on ground is that their growth has been organic. At least when they started, the numbers we witnessed is not how it is today. The two groups, we've observed that they've consistently been growing in numbers. That means supporters have been coming to join them, and the groups have continued to grow. So I cannot give a definite number, but you could see from the visuals today, you could see the massive crowd that came out to support whichever group they wanted to align themselves with.
Thank you so much for that. I know, as you said, that two of the groups have said that they will stay until the handover May 29th. Another says they will stay until somebody hears their plea and looks into the elections that Nigeria had in this past election season. Thank you so much for giving us some updates on that.